All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kara Metz, and I'm the program chair for the BA in Health and Human Services here at UAGC, and I will be your session host. Along with me is Dr. Paul Greenberg, and he will be in the chat collecting questions and getting them organized. So we're pleased to welcome you to this Be Positive, Immediate, and Reliable, Leading with Emotional Intelligence and Lifting and Equipping Students for Success with Bill Davis, Kira Heskey, Christy Hamilton, and Deborah Swanson. Sponsored by the College of Arts and Sciences and facilitated by the UAGC Department of Behavioral Sciences, we hope you enjoy this session. Some of you may know our presenters, so please feel free and join in the chat to say hello and welcoming them. So Christy, if you would like to proceed.
Yes, thank you so much for kicking us off, and hello and welcome to all our attendees. It's a pleasure to be with all of you here today. We're very, very excited to share our passion for being positive, immediate, and reliable, and how these align with UAGC's care pillars. Our purpose is to teach you how to lift and equip students for success by meeting them where they're at and leading with emotional intelligence. Next slide, please. So I know Kara already introduced our One Team Better Together co-chairs, but just as a quick overview, we have with us here today Bill Davis, the program chair for the Department of Organizational Studies, Kira Heskey, the Associate Director of Learning Support, and Deb Swanson, Faculty Support and Classroom Consultant. Next slide. All right, so let's meet our panel team and special UAGC alumni and student guests. We have with us today Leanne Yee, a UAGC alumni who recently graduated with her bachelor's in organizational management. Congrats, Leanne. We have Melissa Galais here with us today as well, who is a student success assistant for UAGC's CHAMPS program. She is also working towards her bachelor's in business administration with her graduation date right around the corner. Next up, we have Lane Hagerdorn, who is also here with us today. He is a UAGC alumni who earned his bachelor's in business leadership and was recently featured as Alumni of the Month. Next up, we have Eric Purier, a current UAGC student in pursuit of his bachelor's in organizational management, graduating in June of this year. Eric was recently featured as Student of the Month, actually for this month in March. And then we also have Nikki Pollock, who is part of our panel team. She is a UAGC alumni who earned her bachelor's in library science and media, who has also been featured as Student of the Month. Finally, we have David Henneman, who is just starting the pursuit of his college degree in operations management and analysis. He is also a member of the Forbes School of Business and Technology Leadership and Management Club, as well as the Military Support and Leadership Club. We are so proud and excited to have you all with us here today. Next slide, please. All right, so just a little overview of what to expect in our session today. The key points we want you to really take away from our session are the importance of meeting students where they're at by building trust and leading with emotional intelligence, while also getting the opportunity to hear about the experiences from our own UAGC students and alumni. Next slide, please. All right, so just to give you a little taste of the questions that we're going to be asking our panelists today, we would also love to hear from you, our audience. So reflect on your own experiences and think about the most influential academic advisor, instructor, or coach that you know. How did they inspire and build trust with you? If you could, go ahead and please post in the chat below so we can see your responses. All right, great. Next slide, please. All right, so I know Bill is very passionate, as well as the rest of our team here, about UAG students are the most important people on the campus. Without them, there would be no need for the institution, which is, 100% correct. We're very, very student-centered here at UAGC, And we are always focusing our efforts on positively influencing, impacting, and leading the way for students through our one team, better together mentality. We sure are one team and we are better together, because what that's going to do is that's really going to help us support students from start to finish. Promoting cross-departmental collaboration, teamwork, empowering people development, and unity helps us to provide an exceptional student experience that keeps our students, again, persisting throughout their degree program to reach that end goal, that finish line of graduation. Our goal is to give you something that you can use, and are hopeful you can retain and implement what you learned from these experiences today into your own life. Now, I would like to turn it over to the one and only Bill Davis, who will explore the topic of building trust through positive psychology.
Listen, thank you very much, Christy. Outstanding introduction and taking us to this point. And I just want to say that I'm pretty lucky and grateful to have teamed up with you and Kara and the entire team here, and to have the students here, Deb Swanson, asking questions. We truly believe, our hope is that we leave you with something you can use, right? So, and I want to just tell the alumni and students that are here too that we sure appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. And I want you to know that you motivate me, you motivate us, all right? Every engagement with every student that's here and every alumni has put wind in my sails, and has excited me in a passion, because I like seeing student success. I like seeing people succeed. So let's just talk really quick. What's it mean to be positive, immediate, and reliable? Think about that just a second. Now, I'm just going to show you how this can transcend across a lot of business segments. It can transcend in education. And what I'd like to just say to you, that when you're trying to make change in a culture, you're trying to serve and do better with people to build trust, right? I'm going to talk about trust in a second. The thing that you want to remember is that if you're positive, immediate, and reliable, what actually happens as an outcome, people get engaged, people get motivated, students get motivated. Christy Hamilton and I have had interactions many times serving a student within 60 minutes. She would call me, I'd come back, she'd come back. The next thing you know, we got somebody fixed there, and of course we're moving. Now, that's not always possible, but I'll tell you, when you're moving right and you're doing the right things and putting forth quality, people get motivated. So student motivation is the driving force that empowers students to actively engage in learning, to pursue their goals and unleash their full potential. We wouldn't want to go into a classroom or serve a student and say, I'm here to demotivate you. I'm going to delay my response to you. You know, that's not how we are. We look at success. We carry an attitude. We understand our disposition, how we interact. So what I'd like to just talk a little bit about is trust. Trust is built through genuine communication, transparency, and consistent actions. You have to talk the walk and walk the talk. You have to model consistency. We talked a little bit about leading and lifting, right? Now, what happens is we foster a sense of reliability and dependability, and that's one of the dimensions of trust here. If you look at this particular slide, this is a slide I've used to train my account executives, my sales managers here at UAGC. I just remind them of this because it's important. It's an important construct, that if you're honest with people and you show your competence and you're dependable and you're reliable and you're likable, right? Who wants to go in and be unliked? Hey, I'll serve you, but I hope you don't like me. That's not how we are. We're here to say, I'm going to team with you and guide you. Then we want to openly communicate, look at common goals, understand the students, commit to mutual gain, and have organizational support. And this all folds into the culture of care, showing compassion, acknowledging students, right? Showing respect, encouraging them. That's all part of the trust process, and trust is built a piece at a time and over time. So the more we serve, well, the better things get. So can you go to the next slide, please? Now, next slide. Okay, when you look at student-centric themes, we're very student-centered here. Many times as I coach and consult faculty, I will say, meet the student where they're at. Because sometimes we may be at a certain level. If I'm dealing with Kara in the library and she thinks maybe I'm at this level and she's not meeting me where I'm at, or the next thing you know, there's a little disconnect, or we're not moving as fast as we could, or I'm not retaining the content. So it's important to kind of move with the audience, move with the student, right? But what does student-centric themes do? For example, they prioritize the needs and the interests of the students. They ensure their active engagement, right? And that there's personalized their learning experience. I know as I was coming up, I loved instructors that met me where I was at, that understood my fear, my emotions. We're going to talk a little bit about emotional intelligence and how to lead and guide with that. But being student-centered means tailoring your educational approaches and your resources and your support to meet the diverse, unique learning styles of the learner, the goals, the aspirations of each student, and fostering their personal growth and success. So again, when you look at the CARE acronym and you look at meeting students where they're at, you're going to be compassionate. You're going to acknowledge where they're at. You're going to show them respect, and you're going to encourage them, and you're going to continue to build trust. So next slide, please. Now, when you look at leading and coaching with emotional intelligence, let's distinguish the two. I consider myself a leader coach. I consider myself a servant transformational leader. I've been doing that, oh my goodness, my whole work life. I want to say, in my PepsiCo career, in my educational career, which is going on 20 years, I like to coach. I like to lead. We had an old saying at Pepsi, lead, follow, or get out of the way, right? And what we used to do is want to energize the team. Why? Because they executed and did good things. Well, it's the same thing when you're coaching students. You want their motivation, right? You want to see them ignite. You want to light that spark, get that flame. You want to be the spark that gets them moving. So when you're thinking about leading and coaching, remember, it's about guiding individuals or teams toward achieving their goals and effective communication, motivation, and support. In leading and coaching with emotional intelligence, it goes one step further. And here we go. By incorporating empathy, not apathy, empathy, self-awareness, and effective communication to build strong relationships, right? You want that trust. You want that mutual respect. You want that bond. You want that whole alignment in that dyadic as you're coaching and you're leading with emotional intelligence. But you'll foster trust. You'll create a positive and collaborative environment. So think about that. The culture, that's where our culture of care, right? So when you think about coaching with emotional intelligence, think about these 4 areas in this dimensional model. Self-awareness, your awareness. How do you feel? How do you feel going into the moment? Are you ready? Disposition drives cognition. Are you coming with a servant attitude? Do you really want that student to succeed? Do they hear that in your voice, in your written communication? Do they see that in your nonverbal communication? Do they see your passion? You mentioned passion, a sense of energy for something, right? Now, social awareness. Who's in your mix? What are the situations? How can you understand how to maneuver and pivot and work within the particular environment? Now, self-management, controlling your own behavior, self-control, conscientiousness, optimism. I hope you see my optimistic attitude. And it doesn't mean that I'm blind to the challenges, not at all. I just choose to look at them in a positive way. I'm John Gordon certified with that. Last year I took it. And he says, keep feeding the positive, the best is yet to come. That's a pretty good mantra, right? When you lead with the heart. We're all here to serve as students. Now, here's the other dimension, relationship management, the development of others, the bond building. I have had so much success in this particular experience and the other panel by building relationships because we collaborated for the greater good, for students. And again, there's teamwork, there's collaboration. So next slide, please. We're saving the best for last, and that's going to be the students and the alumni. But I wanted to kind of set the stage here a little bit for everyone so we get a little bit of a feel. Now, this is so important because Maslow's hierarchy of needs provides us with a powerful framework for understanding fundamental human needs that drive motivation, right? I talked about motivation. Student motivation is the driving force that empowers the students, again, to actively engage in the learning process, to pursue their goals and unleash their full potential, right? So when you look at self-actualization, it's the process of realizing that potential and having a profound, deep sense of fulfillment that this was a good experience. I learned something. I took something away. And the key is an authenticity, right? So positive psychology, really, what is it? It's a science-based approach that focuses on the understanding and cultivating individual strengths, well-being, and flourishing, right? Thriving. When I coach, whether I mentor whether I coach a team, I know I'm going to go, it's up to me to talk the walk, walk the talk, show them I care, be reliable, build that trust, move them forward, keep the vision and the mission in mind. But our culture of care pyramid, if you look at the top here, student-centered is what it's all about. We want to empower those students. We want to show respect. We want to be advocates for them. We want to acknowledge them. But boy, we want to communicate so well, right? We want to communicate consistently. So next slide, please. All right, let me just mention this. This is something was pretty profound that affected me early in my career, and that was teaching EXP 105. I taught it about 25 times. It was one of the entry-level courses at the time. In Liz Crusen's book with Wayne Cluxton and Mary Alexander, I just burned this into my brain. The learning context, why are students here? And the learning context in open access education, we want to remember that it's about practical connections and resources that facilitate the application of knowledge and skills, enabling students to experience exponential personal growth, right? And real world relevance in their learning, something they can apply. And when students come in, I always ask this question to students, just to get them thinking about why they're here. Why did you come in? Practical context. I need to know to cope with things I face. Experiential context. I'm at a point where I can pull things together from experience. What you see from me is years and years and years of stuff just bubbling up to the surface of my brain that I'm kind of taking and applying, right? Because I've lived this stuff. I believe in this. I embrace it. Experiential context, you want to pull things from experience. That's what I try to do and rely on my mental acuity to come back and go, I've seen that situation before. This might work here, but that's where I start. Personal context. I want to do this myself to accomplish some important goals. I wanted to be a good faculty member when I started in 2005, and I went to work and I studied and I observed. I was participant observer. I got as many of these things as I could, and I had wonderful leadership that helped lift me. Idealistic context. I'm at a point where I want to explore new ideas. Theories. Explain, predict, control. I want to understand this theory, that theory. And concepts, so I can discover something new. But that's a wonderful book. If you ever get a chance to read it, you can go to Liz Crusen if she wants to, share some things from it. But we're an outstanding book. Now, embracing diversity in active learning. Next slide. I'm almost done here. Active learning is a method that I embraced. And what I did with active learning was simply this. I burned it and I said, I'm going to embrace this because it's the process of doing, dialogue with self, dialogue with others, process of observing. I built a lot of these active learning strategies into courses that I've done, as well as when I ask questions, as well as participation. Everybody learns in an active learning process, and you can embrace diversity with this method. It's very good. Now, next slide, please. Now, as I go to this and I look at the benefits of mentoring and coaching, all right, think about, again, those leading and coaching principles that you're guiding and empowering individuals and teams to reach their full potential, right? I'd rather be a leader coach than an autocratic leader and somebody that says, do this, do this, do this, and check in. I mean, I want to facilitate them through their learning continuum, whether that's in business, whether that's in a classroom. I want to see a win for the students. That's what motivates me. Now, when I look at leading and coaching with emotional intelligence, again, it goes a step further: empathy, self-awareness, communicate. But you want to ask them, what is it you're trying to achieve? The learning context. What's the goal? How can I help you? How can we achieve success for you? Furthering student success is so important. Next slide, please. All right, we got one more slide. Here's what I just wanted to point out to you. These are two basic styles to lead. Transactional leadership, which I didn't mention here, but I just want to say it's, when leaders and managers are focused on motivating employees through a system of rewards and punishments, emphasizing performance and compliance. We all get it, right? We've got policies, procedures. We need to stay within those boundaries. But sometimes managers will just stay there, and they become transactional. They're not doing the empathy thing and lifting and leading and so forth. And really, even with students, when you look at it, some students come in on the high end, right on the curve, and they get it. So you just put some wind in their sails and help them. But there are a percentage of students can use some additional help. They can use your time. And I always like to think of myself in the classroom as a servant transformational leader. And what do? I model the way. I try to talk the walk and walk the talk, show them that I care, show them that I'll innovate, find new ways to reach you. I try to let them see their graduation day, see the successes they're having, point them out. I enable them to act. But I'm always giving encouragement, and E is that big part of the CARE acronym, right? UAGC. You have to care. You have to encourage the heart. They have to feel you. So with that said, and I hope I've saved enough time for everybody here, the panelist questions, I'm just going to read this and I'm going to turn it over to Kara. You know, they're going to be asking 2 questions, and then I think we're going to go to put everybody's face in the screener, if I'm not mistaken. But think of the most influential academic advisor, instructor, or coach you know. How did they inspire you? How did they build trust? How did they empower you? And then number 2, can you provide a specific example of an experience you had here at UAGC as a UAGC student where you were coached, mentored with care, empathy, and compassion? And furthermore, what was the impact that had on you? Did it lift you? You know, what actually happened there? So, Kara, I hope I didn't steal your thunder there, but I'm going to turn it over to you now. So thank you all for listening, and I hope you have taken a piece or 2 there from what I've just said.
Actually, Bill, I'm going to jump in real quick. This is Deb Swanson, and I want to thank you and Christy for getting us to this point where we can meet our students and chat with them. And I want to welcome Leanne. And, you know, thank you for joining us today and taking part in the presentation. And Leanne, can you share and reflect back on your thoughts about your most influential academic advisor or instructor that you know, and share details on how they inspired and built trust and empowered you during your educational journey here at UAGC?
Thank you so much for having me here today. I just want to say that the whole UAGC experience took me quite some time, actually, because I'm a Marine spouse, I'm a teacher, I'm raising 3 kids, but there was never any one particular instructor that stood out, because UAGC has done such a phenomenal job of coaching all of their instructors to have the empathy that was just spoken about, and to understand that we're all just trying to live our lives and better our lives at the same time. So it was really great. There was a few different instructors that, if life threw me a curveball, as we all know it does, that they were like, just communicate with us, we'll make it work, let's get you through these 5 weeks. And I absolutely loved the 5-week model for myself, because I was able to keep it moving at a faster pace. So that would be what I would say about every instructor. I don't think there was one that didn't model that care of culture, or culture of care.
Wonderful, Leanne. We really appreciate your thoughts and your insight and your compliments, you know, to our university. And next, I want to pull up Eric and have him answer the same question, thinking about who was one of your most influential advisors or faculty members here at the university, and share your thoughts on how they inspired and built trust and empowered you.
Yeah, thanks, Deb. So 2 instructors come to mind, Professor Blizzard and Professor James Vaughn. Professor Blizzard and I never saw eye to eye on most topics around politics, environmental science, all that. However, he always created an inclusive environment that accepted all views for discussion and never made anyone feel less than. Professor Vaughn creates videos each week to his class, and when he creates a video, and it creates a personal connection, so much so that I did struggle with one of my professors, but I felt comfortable enough to reach out to Professor Vaughn for some direction on how to handle the situation. So I think both of these professors really greatly impacted my learning experience, and through their empathy and inclusiveness, I felt valued as a student and accepted in the academic community.
Wonderful, Eric. We appreciate your response, and thank you for sharing your thoughts in a professional and caring manner that shows how your experience was impacted here at the university. And next up, we have Nikki Polak. Nikki, if you could share your thoughts and insight on the question that we posed to the other 2 students.
Yeah, so it was difficult to choose just 1 or 2 even, because everybody was just wonderful. but first I would have to go with Professor Bill Davis. He's always been extremely supportive and positive and made such an impact in my learning, and he ultimately paved the way for my success. Second, I would also mention Professor Clifford Blizzard. Same reason as Eric mentioned, we didn't see eye to eye on many things. Despite that, he gave me a platform where I was encouraged to express myself and my beliefs. He challenged my beliefs and my thoughts by asking questions, and he really made me think and encouraged conversations between classmates. Both of these instructors were just wonderful and gave me the right support and allowed me to achieve my goals.
Wonderful response, Nikki, and we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to be here. I'm going to turn it over to Kira. She's got a couple students with a couple more questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Deb. I appreciate you handing it over. So I'm going to be fielding the question, can you provide a specific example of an experience you've had as a UAGC student where you were coached or mentored with care, empathy, and compassion? What impact did that experience have on you? And so I'm going to start with Melissa to kick us off with the answer to that question for her. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you, Kira. So I would like to share a story about an instructor, Bill Davis, that I met way back at the beginning of my time in UAGC. In fact, I was only in my 4th course at the university when I met Bill. I completed a PowerPoint presentation for his course, and shortly afterwards, Bill reached out to me. He said he really enjoyed my presentation, and he asked if I'd be interested in participating in that year's research symposium. And at first I was very hesitant because I had never really done anything like that before, and the idea of doing a presentation for my peers made me nervous, even if it was a pre-recorded presentation. And I just remember Bill shared unforgettable words of encouragement and positivity and explained what a wonderful leadership opportunity this would be. So he also said that he would mentor me throughout the process, so I didn't have to worry about going through it alone. I was still nervous, but I decided to break out of my shell and do something that I would not normally do. I do not regret my decision to this day, and I still maintain meaningful contact with Bill. I thank him for all of the positive words and encouragement throughout my academic journey. Having that positive experience so early on has kept me going for these almost 4 years, and because of his continued support, I will be starting the master's program here at UAGC in the late summer.
Whew, gave me all sorts of goosebumps. Melissa, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And you really helped to crystallize the importance of having mentors believe in you, faculty members and staff that really believe in you and see the value in what you're bringing to the table and encouraging you to keep going and to meet your potential. And you're doing such a wonderful job. So thank you for that. That was beautiful. Okay, now I'm going to hand it over to Lane to answer that question. Lane, can you provide an example of an experience you had as a UAGC student where you were coached or mentored with care, empathy, and compassion? And what was that impact on you?
Kira, there's a theme here that you're going to see. So Professor Bill Davis, yet again, I'd like to highlight an experience I had with Bill. And I see you shaking your head, my friend. We have a pretty long history, both while I was still at the university and after I've graduated. But this one in particular pertains to the student organizations. So as I was going through my program, I was invited to be a part of the instructional design student organization. And it really was just an extension of my business degree because I was getting into learning development. And I was in that. When I was in that, I had the opportunity to really look and see where there was connectivity between different student organizations to include the Forbes School of Business, of which Bill was the executive sponsor for. I approached Bill and I said, look, you know the history, you know where things are within these student organizations and where some of the challenges will be. And instead of being directive, Bill opened the book of questions and just started to ask me, hey, what do you want? How do you see this? What's the future state look like? It really truly was meeting me where I was at, as Bill talked about here just a little bit ago, instead of trying to tell me where he thinks I should be. What that allowed me to do was to align his expertise and knowledge to my own version of expertise and knowledge, get a crossroads of what worked and what people would enjoy, and then be able to carry that into the next iteration of the two clubs connectivity. Big impact. So now I'm an executive leader at a very large business, a Fortune 100 company. And now we've modified that to calling it getting on the same side of the table as my employees, as my teams, and as my groups. So this isn't just an educational piece. This is a life lesson that Bill helped me learn, and I'm ever grateful for it.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Lane. That was really powerful as well, and showing the power again of that connection and how that can propel you into so many different places and further your professional goals, your educational goals, and your connection within the university too. So thank you so much for sharing that. Wow. Okay, well, we actually have only just a few minutes left. It looks like I think we have until 1:05 p.m. I know, so many goosebumps. So thank you all. I'd like to open it up if there's any questions from any of the people that are attending today's session. If you have any questions for the panelists or any follow-ups that we would like to cover. And by the way, I'm very impressed with the timekeeping. I mean, each one of you just kept right to your 2 minutes. I appreciate that, keeping mindful of the time. So we have a nice, generous few minutes left. So any questions coming up? I know, tears. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, the student voice is so important in everything we do, and just having you all here and being able to share your story and the impact that this positive mentorship has made to you in your life. It's very powerful. So couldn't have done this without you. This session was very impactful to so many people because of your words. So thank you. Let's see. Looking, Angel. Yes. Let's see. I'm trying to see, Angel. I can't see. I couldn't see your comment. I just saw that you came in late, so I didn't see if there's a question in there. But I don't see any other questions, unless somebody else, Deb or Christy, if you guys see anything that I'm missing. But appreciate the time.
I do see angels.
Oh, okay, perfect. What is it?
Everyone, well, I'm going to share the experience here. Everyone I've connected with has given me a wonderful experience, from understanding being clear and concise, supportive and motivational. UAGC staff and students have made me feel at home, considering the scary and rapid changes I still go through. Thanks for letting me grow. Thank you so much, Angel, for sharing.
I'm glad you found that one, Christy. I was trying to scroll fast. Sometimes I can't multitask. I can't walk and chew gum every time. So I appreciate you being able to find that wonderful comment in the chat. All right, wonderful. Well, if there's no other questions, we can always give back a couple minutes to everyone's day. I'll hand it back over to our facilitators of this session. Thank you so much. And thank you all for coming to the session as well.
Thank you. Thank you for our panel members, and thank you for the presenters. This was wonderful. It was great to hear from the students and their understanding about what impacted them. So this was inspirational. So a big thank you to Bill, Kira, Christy, and Deborah for their time, and all the panel members that joined us. This concludes our Be Positive, Be Immediate and Reliable, leading with emotional intelligence and lifting and equipping students for success. Thank you so much for joining us on behalf of the Department of Behavioral Sciences and the University of Global Campus. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day. We have posted the next sessions in the chat for your convenience, so feel free to stick around here or hop out to another session. Thank you.